My fiance mocked the voice memos I sent her every morning in a group chat called The Vault. Her friends called me a beta clown. I stopped playing the perfect fiance, and she completely fell apart. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Alright Reddit, I, 32 male, need to get this the hell out of my chest because these last few months have been a complete mindblow, and none of my boys really understand the full picture. This is basically my villain origin story, except I actually got a happy ending, so I guess it's more like my phoenix rising from the ashes origin story. Whatever, just read it. I was engaged to Mia, 29 female, for almost a year, together for 3.5 years total. We met at Soundwave Festival back in 2020. I was there with my boys vibing to some indie bands. She was with her college friends. We started talking at the beer tent when I accidentally bumped into her and spilled her drink, bought her a new one, apologized, and somehow ended up talking for the next 3 hours. Missed like 2 bands I wanted to see, but didn't even care. We just clicked. The festival was wild that year, right before all the COVID shit hit the fan. We exchanged numbers that night, and when everything started shutting down a few weeks later, we were texting constantly. Our first official date was actually a Zoom call, with takeout from the same restaurant, both of us eating in our separate apartments. Super romantic, right? But honestly, those early pandemic days created this bubble where it was just us getting to know each other without all the usual distractions. By the time things opened back up, we were already pretty serious. First time I saw her in person again after 3 months of virtual dates, I nearly tackled her with a hug. The chemistry was instant, like we'd been together for years already. I work as a software dev for a cybersecurity company. Decent money, flexible hours. She's in marketing for a big retail chain. We moved in together after like a year because rent in this city is ridiculous, and we were basically living at each other's places anyway. Got a nice 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Decided the extra room would be for guests, or maybe an office. About me. I've always been pretty independent. Hit the gym 4 to 5 times a week, have my own hobbies and friends. Not the clingy type at all. I'm into kickboxing, trail running, and building custom gaming PCs on the side. Got a small group of solid friends I've known since college. We have a weekly poker night and try to catch UFC fights together when we can. But I've also always been intentional about relationships. My grandfather was my role model growing up. Total badass, who built his own construction business from nothing, but also deeply devoted to my grandmother. He used to call her every day during his lunch break for 46 years straight, even when he was on job sites in different cities. When he passed away 5 years ago, we found these old cassette tapes where he'd recorded messages for her when he had to be away overnight. My grandma still listens to them sometimes. That shit stuck with me hard. So when things got serious with Mia, I started this little ritual. Every morning before I left for work, I'd send her a voice memo. I get up at 5:30 for the gym and head straight to the office after, while she doesn't start until 9. So I'd leave her a little audio message to wake up to. Nothing major, just like 30 to 60 seconds. Some mornings I'd tell her about a weird dream I had, or remind her about plans we had coming up, or just say, "Good morning, beautiful. Hope your presentation goes well today." Sometimes I'd tell a dumb dad joke or even sing a couple lines from whatever song was stuck in my head. I can't sing for shit, but whatever, she always said it made her smile. I remember one morning I was running late and almost forgot to do it. Doubled back from the elevator to our apartment just to record a quick, "Have a kick-ass day, love you." Felt like it was worth being 5 minutes late to work. That's where my head was at. She seemed to love these memos. Would text me stuff like, "Your joke was so bad it was good lol," or "Your singing made my morning." She even showed me how she had saved all of them in a special playlist on her phone. Called it Morning Sunshine. I'm not gonna lie. It made me feel good that something so simple could brighten her day. We got engaged last summer when we were on vacation in Bali. Did the whole down on one knee thing on the beach at sunset. Basic as hell, but she cried and said yes. So mission accomplished. Set the wedding for this July. Put deposits down on venues. Started planning the whole thing. Her parents were super into it. Especially her dad, who's this retired accountant dude. They offered to pay for most of it, which was cool of them. Mia's parents are these country club types. Always perfectly dressed, big house in the suburbs, 2 luxury cars in the garage. Her dad played golf every weekend, and her mom was involved in like 6 different charity organizations. They seemed to like me though, especially after I helped set up their home network and fix their various tech issues. Her dad would always introduce me as the brilliant software engineer who's going to take care of our little girl. I guess they saw me as stable and responsible. Little did they know I'd be the one to blow it all up. Even got a dog together about 8 months ago, a rescue pit bull mix named Diesel. I've always been a dog person, and Mia claimed to be too. Though looking back, she wasn't nearly as into him as I was. I was the one who always walked him, fed him, took him to the vet, trained him. She'd post pics with him on Instagram, but that was about the extent of her involvement. Should have been a red flag, but I missed it completely. And Diesel is a big, goofy sweetheart, brown and white with one floppy ear and one pointy ear. The shelter said he was about 2 years old when we got him, and he'd been there for months because people were scared of the pit bull label. Their loss. He's the most gentle dog I've ever met, lets kids pull on his ears without flinching, sits patiently while I wipe his paws after walks, only barks when someone's at the door. I fell in love with him immediately at the shelter. Mia was more hesitant, wanted a smaller, cuter dog, but eventually agreed when I pointed out how apartment-friendly he actually was despite his size. Anyway, things were solid, or so I thought. Then about 2 months ago, things started feeling off. Mia started acting weird, always on her phone, laughing at stuff but not showing me what was so funny when I'd ask. Getting irritated over small shit, like if I left a cup on the counter or if Diesel jumped on the couch, which she used to be fine with. When I'd ask if something was up, she'd always say, just work stress, or nothing, I'm fine. Classic. Yeah, at first, I chalked it up to wedding planning stress. We were about 4 months out, and there was still a ton to do. Her mom was getting increasingly involved, calling every day with new ideas or concerns. Mia's bridesmaids were scattered across 3 different states, making dress fittings a logistical nightmare. Plus, she was gunning for a promotion at work, putting in extra hours to impress her boss. So I tried to be understanding, took on more of the household stuff, started cooking dinner most nights, kept the apartment clean, made sure Diesel was always walked and fed and not bothering her when she seemed stressed. Basically became super husband material, thinking I was being supportive. I actually stepped up my voice memo game, thinking maybe she needed the extra positivity, started putting more effort into them, sometimes even planning what I'd say the night before. Looking back, that was probably the worst thing I could have done. On one morning, I recorded this elaborate one where I made up a whole story about how Diesel had secretly learned to talk and confessed to me that he'd been the one eating her fancy chocolate, that she always blamed me for, and did a whole voice for him and everything. Spent like 5 minutes on it. She texted back, LOL cute, and that was it. Should have known something was up then. Another time, I recorded myself trying to rap the intro to Hamilton. We had tickets for the following month. Total disaster, but I thought it would make her laugh. She didn't even acknowledge receiving it. When I asked about it that night, she just said, oh yeah, sorry. I was in meetings all morning and forgot to respond. But I didn't catch on. Kept living my life, working on projects, hitting the gym, taking care of Diesel, sending my daily memos like an idiot. Sometimes she'd leave her phone face up on the coffee table, and I'd see notifications from her friends that seemed off. Things like OMG dead, or can't wait to see what tomorrow's brings. But when I'd ask what was funny, she'd just say inside joke, or quickly change the subject. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. Found her in the kitchen, on her phone, giggling quietly. When she saw me, she jumped like she'd seen a ghost and quickly put her phone down. Said she couldn't sleep and was just checking Instagram. I was too tired to question it, but it stuck with me. My buddy Chris noticed something was off too. We were at our weekly poker night, and he pulled me aside. Everything cool with you and Mia? You seem distracted. I brushed it off. Just wedding stress, man. It's a lot. He gave me this look like he wasn't buying it but didn't push. Just clapped me on the shoulder and said, you know we're here if you need to talk, right? I nodded, but kept my concerns to myself. Didn't want to be that guy who talks shit about his fiancé to his friends. Plus, what would I even say? My fiancé seems annoyed and I don't know why. Sounds pathetic when you put it like that. Still, the distance between us was growing. Sex became less frequent, more mechanical when it did happen. Our conversations over dinner got shorter, more surface level. We stopped planning weekend activities together. She'd make plans with her friends, I'd hit the gym, or take Diesel hiking. We were like roommates who occasionally kissed. About 3 weeks before everything blew up, we had a rare date night. Went to this fancy new restaurant downtown, both dressed up, tried to reconnect. The dinner was fine, but on the Uber ride home, her phone kept blowing up with texts. She was giggling, typing rapidly. What's so funny? I asked. Oh, Zoe's drunk texting the group chat. She's on a horrible date. Must be some funny texts. Just girl stuff. You wouldn't get it. She turned her phone away slightly, still smiling at the screen. That night, for the first time, I had the thought, is she cheating on me? It would explain the secretiveness, the emotional distance, the constant texting, but it didn't feel right. Mia wasn't the cheating type. At least I didn't think she was. The next morning, I almost didn't send a voice memo. Felt weird, like I was forcing something that wasn't working anymore. But 3 years of habit is hard to break, so I recorded a simple, "Good morning, hope you have a good day," and left it at that. Later that day, she texted me asking if I was mad at her. "Your memo seemed short today. Everything okay?" The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd been barely acknowledging them for weeks, and now she notices when I scale back? I told her I was just running late, which was true, and thought that was the end of it. But I still had no idea what was really going on. Last month, I had a system update scheduled for 7 a.m. for one of our major clients, but they pushed it back last minute. My boss texted me at 5:45 while I was at the gym saying we'd been rescheduled to the afternoon slot. Instead of heading to the office, I decided to surprise Mia with breakfast in bed. Picked up her favorite bagels and fancy cold brew on the way home. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. We hadn't been connecting much lately, and I thought maybe a nice surprise would help bridge the gap. Plus, it had been ages since we'd had a weekday morning together. I let myself in quietly, thinking she'd still be asleep. Diesel came padding up to me, tail wagging like crazy. He's always been my boy. But I shushed him and gave him a treat to keep him occupied. That's when I heard Mia laughing in the kitchen. She was sitting at the island, still in her PJs, on a FaceTime call with 3 of her friends, phone propped up against the fruit bowl. I was about to announce myself when I heard my own voice coming from her phone. "Rise and shine, beautiful. Just wanted to say I'm thinking about you and can't wait for our weekend getaway. Oh, and here's your daily dose of awful humor. What did the ocean say to the beach? Nothing, it just waved. Ha, love you, see you tonight." Then I heard Mia say, "I literally cannot with these voice memos anymore. They're suffocating me." Her friends were all cracking up. One of them, Zoe, said, "Play yesterday's again." The singing one was so funny. Mia tapped her screen, and suddenly there I was, singing a few lines from that Ed Sheeran song she claimed was our song. "Seriously, girl, is this the guy you're gonna be stuck with forever?" Another friend laughed. "Like, who actually does this shit? It's giving major desperate vibes." "Total beta clown," the third friend added. "My boyfriend would never." I stood there frozen, the paper bag with bagels getting damp in my grip. Diesel was sitting at my feet, looking up at me like he could sense something was wrong. And something was very wrong. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Mia sighed dramatically. I know, but he's reliable, makes good money, and my parents think he's perfect. I just need to get through the wedding, then maybe I can train him out of these embarrassing habits." "At least add these to the vault," one friend said. "This quality cringe content can't go to waste." That's when I saw Mia forwarding my voice memos to what looked like a group chat. I must have made a noise because Diesel came trotting over to me, whining for more attention. Mia looked up, saw me standing there with the bagels, and her face went from laughing to panicked in half a second. "Tyler, what are you— I thought you had that system update thing." The FaceTime call went dead silent. Her friends started making excuses and hanging up one by one. Mia scrambled to grab her phone, like she could somehow erase what I'd just witnessed. "Client rescheduled," I said, putting the bagels on the counter. I reached down to pet Diesel, who could obviously sense the tension because he pressed himself against my leg. "What's the vault?" Her face went through about 5 different expressions before settling on defensive. "It's nothing, just a stupid group chat. We were just joking around." "Didn't sound like joking to me. Sounded like you and your friends laughing at something I do for you every day because I give a shit about you." "Tyler, you're overreacting. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal? You called me a beta, said you needed to train me out of my embarrassing habits. That sounds like a pretty big fucking deal to me." She switched tactics. "Well, can you blame me? The voice memos are a bit much. Every single morning? It's kind of suffocating. Nobody needs that level of attention, Tyler. It's not normal." That word, normal, hit me like a truck. I'd always thought what we had was special, that she appreciated the little things I did to show I cared. Finding out she thought it was weird, embarrassing, it broke something in me. Not normal? I felt something shift inside me. For 3 years, you've been pretending to love them, saving them, responding like they made your day? Was that all bullshit? She hesitated just a second too long before answering. "No, of course not. I just—" "Save it." I grabbed my keys off the counter. "I'm going to work." "Tyler, wait. Let's talk about this. You're making it a bigger deal than it is." I didn't respond, just whistled for Diesel, who followed me instantly and walked out. I didn't technically need to take him with me, but in that moment, I wanted his company more than I wanted to be alone. Plus, my office is dog-friendly, and he loves hanging out there. The drive to work was a blur. I kept replaying what I'd heard in my head. Total beta behavior. Train him out of these embarrassing habits. The way they all laughed at my singing. The fact that she'd been sharing something private, something I thought was just between us, with her friends as entertainment. And the worst part? She wasn't even sorry I found out. She was sorry I was upset. There's a big difference. For the rest of the day, my phone wouldn't stop blowing up. It started with the classic, "I'm so sorry, baby. We were just being stupid." Then shifted into the whole, "It was just girl talk." Everyone vents about their partner's routine. By the end of it, she was straight up defensive. "You're really gonna throw everything away over something so small? That's childish." I didn't reply to any of them, just focused on work, let Diesel chill under my desk, and tried to process what the fuck had just happened. By afternoon, she'd escalated to calling. I put my phone on silent and dove into coding, losing myself in work to avoid thinking too much. My coworkers could tell something was up but respected my space. A few commented on how cute Diesel was, which gave me a brief distraction. My buddy Derek from the IT department noticed something was off and asked me to grab a beer after work. I told him what went down, and he just shook his head. "That's cold, man. Real cold." Derek's a divorced guy, about 10 years older than me. Been through the ringer with his ex-wife. As I told him what happened, he got this look in his eyes like he was having flashbacks. "The thing that gets me," I said, "is that I thought this was something special between us. Something she loved. Finding out she was mocking it the whole time. It makes me question everything." Derek nodded. "It's not even about the voice memos, man. It's about respect. She didn't respect you enough, to be honest. And she sure as hell didn't respect you enough to keep private things private." Exactly. If she didn't like them, she could have just said something. I'm a grown-ass man. I can take feedback. So what are you gonna do? "I don't know. I can't go back to that apartment tonight. I'd say something I'd regret." Derek offered me his spare room if I needed it. No questions asked. I took him up on it that night. Packed a small bag when I knew Mia would be at her weekly yoga class, grabbed Diesel's food in bed, and bounced. That first night at Derek's, I laid awake for hours, Diesel snoring softly on the floor beside me. I kept replaying her words in my head. Beta behavior. Train him out of these habits. The way she laughed while forwarding my voice memo to her friends. Something changed in me that night. Like a switch flipped. I realized I'd been pouring my heart into someone who saw my affection as a joke, as something to be tolerated until she could change me into whatever the hell she actually wanted. The persona I'd been presenting wasn't the problem. It was her inability to appreciate authenticity. The next morning, I went to the gym early, pushed myself harder than usual, came back to Derek's, showered, and headed to work without sending Mia a voice memo for the first time in over 3 years. By noon, she'd texted me 5 times asking where I was, if I was okay, when I was coming home. I finally responded with, "Staying at Derek's for a while. Need space to think." That opened the floodgates. She called immediately, and against my better judgment, I answered, "Tyler, please come home. I miss you. I miss Diesel. We can talk this through." "There's nothing to talk about," I said flatly. "You made your feelings pretty clear yesterday. I was just being stupid with my friends. It didn't mean anything. You know I love your voice memos." "Do I? Because it sure sounded like you think they're embarrassing and suffocating." "I was just venting. Everyone says things about their partners to their friends sometimes. There's a difference between venting and mockery, Mia. What you were doing was cruel." She started crying then. Big, dramatic sobs that used to make my heart ache, but now just sounded hollow. "Please, Tyler. I'll do anything. I'll delete the group chat. I'll tell my friends to delete everything. Just come home so we can fix this. I'll be by tomorrow to get more clothes. We can talk then." I hung up before she could respond. For the next week, I spoke to Mia only when absolutely necessary, and even then, kept it brief and emotionless. I went back to our apartment, but only to grab more clothes and stuff for Diesel. Told her I was staying at Derek's for a while to think things through. She cried, begged me to come home, said she'd do anything to fix it. I stopped sending voice memos completely, stopped asking about her day, stopped suggesting date nights or weekend plans, stopped doing the little things I'd always done. No more making her favorite tea when she got home stressed, no more surprise takeout from her favorite Thai place, no surprise flowers just because. Instead, I started hitting the gym twice a day, early morning and right after work, updated my wardrobe, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen much since getting engaged, started putting in overtime at work and secured a promotion I'd been eyeing. Derek was a solid wingman through all this. Never pushed me to work it out or give her another chance like some of our mutual friends did. Just let me crash, played video games with me when I needed distraction, and took care of Diesel when I had to work late. "My ex tried the same shit," he told me one night over pizza. "Made me feel bad for being affectionate, then freaked out when I stopped. Some people only want what they can't have or what they think others want." After 2 weeks, I figured I should find my own place. But Derek convinced me to stay until I could find something decent. "No rush, bro. It's actually nice having company. And Diesel keeps the raccoons away from my trash cans." Meanwhile, Mia was spiraling. She'd text me 20, 30 times a day, call constantly, even showed up at my office once, but security didn't let her in because she wasn't on the approved visitor list. She'd alternate between rage, "You're being so immature," and desperation. "I'll do anything. Please just talk to me." I started getting texts and calls from her snake friends too. Zoe, in particular, was persistent. "You're breaking her heart over a stupid joke," she said in one voicemail. "What kind of man does that? You must be so insecure." "Yeah? Well, I guess I'm the kind of man who finally figured out he's not a charity case for emotionally stunted mean girls playing therapist." After about 3 weeks of this, I finally agreed to meet her for coffee, just to talk. I chose a spot near Derek's place, neutral territory. She looked like shit, if I'm being honest. Eyes puffy, hair unwashed, made a big show of hugging me when I arrived, but I kept it brief and sat down immediately. "Where's Diesel?" was the first thing she asked. "With Derek. He's got a yard." "So, are you coming home soon?" I took a sip of my coffee. "I don't think so, Mia." Her eyes welled up. "Tyler, this is crazy." It was one stupid conversation. One mistake. "You're throwing away 3 years over nothing." It wasn't nothing. And I don't think it was just once, was it? "The vault sounds pretty established to me." She went pale. "I deleted it. I swear. I told the girls how much I hurt you and we agreed it was wrong. They all feel terrible." Showing me the group chat. As if on cue, her phone buzzed. She glanced down at it nervously, trying to hide the screen, but I caught a glimpse of a message from Zoe. "Send this to him. He'll stop crying and start wheezing on the floor." "What's that?" I asked, nodding toward her phone. "Nothing," she said quickly, turning the phone face down on the table. "Show me." "Tyler, it's not." "Show me." Reluctantly, she turned the phone over and opened the message. It was a video. She hesitated, then pressed play. I watched in disbelief as an AI-generated version of my voice narrated over Ed Sheeran's face. It was clearly made using snippets from my voice memos, stitched together to make it sound like I was saying the most cringeworthy, desperate shit imaginable. His face had been manipulated to match the audio, making it look like Ed Sheeran was delivering my most heartfelt messages with exaggerated, mocking expressions. The rage didn't explode. It crystallized. Cold. Focused. "So not only did you mock me behind my back, you let your little crew make deep fakes to keep the humiliation going? And that's what you're sorry for?" My voice was flat, controlled. "It wasn't me, it was Zoe. I told her it wasn't okay, swear I was gonna make her delete it." I let out a dry laugh. "Right. Just like the vault was supposed to be gone, your girl's still sending you clips, Mia." People were staring. I didn't care. That screen with my face on it, that was the only thing that existed in that moment. "You know what's wild?" I leaned in. "I actually came here thinking maybe I overreacted, that we could work through this. But this? You weren't caught in the moment. You built a highlight reel." She was crying now. I didn't flinch. "Tyler, please." "Save it," I said, cutting her off. "You showed me who you are. Again. So that's it? You're really throwing away 3 years?" I stared her down. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm done playing the clown in a show you don't even respect. You said my love was a suffocating? Cool." I stopped. She broke. "I want my fiancé back. I want us back." I shook my head. "You want the perks, the paycheck, the guy your parents approve of. You never wanted me, just the image of me." I stood up. "I'll swing by next weekend for my stuff. I'm taking Diesel. You never wanted the dog anyway." She reached out. "Please, counseling, anything?" I pulled back. "There's nothing to fix, Mia. This wasn't love. It was convenience." As I turned to leave, she shouted, "This isn't you." I looked back once. "Nah, this is exactly me. I just stopped performing." Over the next couple of weeks, she went into full panic mode, started leaving me voice memos, buying me gifts and having them delivered to Derek's, texting my friends to check if I was okay, even called my mom, who later told me Mia was worried about my mental health because I'd changed so drastically. My mom, to her credit, saw right through it. She made her bed, she told me over the phone. "You stand your ground, honey. You deserve someone who loves you exactly as you are." Meanwhile, I was actually feeling better than I had in months. Clearer. Stronger. More focused. Diesel was thriving too. Derek's backyard was way bigger than our apartment balcony, and he had a blast running around with Derek's neighbor's golden retriever. I found a decent one-bedroom with a small yard, not too far from work. The landlord was cool with Diesel after meeting him, and I signed a 6-month lease. Moved my stuff out of our old apartment on a Tuesday when Mia was at work, just like I said I would. Left the ring on the kitchen counter with a note releasing her from any wedding contracts on my side. The day I moved out for good was strangely anticlimactic. I'd already taken most of my important stuff in stages, so it was just a matter of gathering the last few boxes and saying goodbye to the place. Diesel seemed to know something was up. He went around sniffing everything one last time, then sat by the door like, "I'm ready when you are, boss." Before leaving, I looked around one last time. The apartment that had been ours suddenly felt like it had never been mine at all. Maybe it hadn't been. Maybe I'd been playing a role the whole time without realizing it. I locked the door, dropped the key in the mail slot for the building manager, and walked away without looking back. About a month after discovering the vault, I was at my usual gym, crushing a back and shoulders session. I'm one of the senior trainers there, been working there for years between my coding gigs. That's when I spotted her, this lost-looking chick trying to figure out the cable machine, form all wrong, about to wreck her shoulders. "You're gonna hurt yourself doing it that way," I called out, walking over. She looked up, slightly startled. Her name's Lexi, 30 female, was petite but athletic, with this sleeve of tattoos down one arm and short dark hair. Completely different from Mia's polished Instagram perfect look. "I'm just trying to figure this out," she admitted with a frustrated sigh. I adjusted the pin weight and demonstrated the proper form. "Like this. Keeps your rotator cuff safe and actually hits the muscle you're trying to work." She tried again, following my lead. "Better. Getting there. Drop your shoulders a bit more." I guided her elbow into the right position. "There you go." She thanked me and I moved on to my own workout. But a few days later, I noticed her struggling with deadlifts, rounding her back at the top. "Form check," I said, walking over. "You're doing great, but keep that back flat through the whole movement." After correcting her technique, I mentioned the boxing class I taught on weekends. "You look like you've got some shit to work through. Hitting things helps." "That obvious, huh?" She laughed. "Yeah, maybe I'll check it out." She showed up to my class that Saturday. Watching her unleash on the heavy bag, I could tell she was working through something major. Her form was rough, but her intensity was off the charts. After class, I gave her a few pointers, and I offered to grab protein shakes at the smoothie bar. Professional courtesy for a new member. We ended up talking for hours. Turned out she'd just gotten out of a toxic relationship herself, had 2 rescue dogs, loved horror movies, and hated social media. "Life's complicated enough without performing for strangers," she said. Something about that hit different after everything with Mia. I was straight up with her about my situation. Recently ended engagement, still technically in the moving out phase. Figured she deserved transparency. "Thanks for the honesty," she said. "I've been the rebound girl before. Not interested in that role. But I could use a gym buddy who knows what they're doing." We started texting about workout stuff, which gradually evolved into conversations about movies, music, whatever. The contrast between talking with Lexi and the walking on eggshells feeling with Mia was stark. With Lexi, I felt energized. With Mia, drained. One weekend, I invited her to hike one of my favorite trails. Told her to bring her dogs. I'd bring Diesel. Watching the 3 dogs run wild together was awesome. Diesel was in heaven, getting muddy and stealing half her sandwich. Unlike Mia, who'd freak about mud in her car, Lexi just laughed. "He's got personality," she said, watching him roll in a puddle. "That's what matters in a dog, not how pretty they look on Instagram." We started hanging out more. Still, just friends. But I felt something growing. The way she looked at me when she thought I wouldn't notice. The way our hands would brush when we walked side by side. Meanwhile, Mia was still trying to win me back. Long, emotional emails, sad quotes on social media, even showing up drunk at my apartment once. I called her an Uber and sent her home. The final straw came when she went through my phone during a closure dinner, called me out about Lexi, accused me of cheating. "First of all, it's none of your business," I told her. "Second, yes, I like her, because she's real. She doesn't laugh at me behind my back or try to train me or record my personal messages to send to her friends for entertainment." I walked out, dropped cash on the table, and called Lexi that night. Asked her on a real date. She laughed and said, "I was wondering when you'd finally make a move." First date was at this hole-in-the-wall ramen joint. Nothing fancy, just good food and vibes. She made it clear she wasn't going to be my rebound. Respected that. Kissed her anyway. She didn't mind. Mia went full Psycho X. Begging, crying, anger, the works. Her dad called once. Man-to-man talk. He knew his daughter fucked up without me saying a word. "Her mother and I still think highly of you, son." That was that. 2 months post-breakup, Lexi and I made it official. When I sent her a voice memo one morning, she sent one back. Horrible off-key singing to metal. No pretense, just real. "Your singing is terrible," I texted. "So is yours," she fired back. "We match." Got promoted at work. Bought a house Mia always said was too suburban. Lexi moved in with her dogs. Diesel's loving the yard. House needed work, but we're crushing the renovations. I handle the heavy stuff. She's got an eye for design. Lexi's different. When I do something for her, she actually appreciates it. When something bugs her, she says it directly. No games, no mockery, no training needed. Ran into Mia once at the farmer's market. Brief eye contact, small wave, kept moving. No drama. Heard she's finding herself in Southeast Asia. Good for her. Last night, Lexi asked me to send her a voice memo before work. "Want to hear your sexy morning voice telling me something stupid?" Sent her one with a terrible dad joke. She replied, That joke was fucking terrible. I love it, and I love you. The right person won't make you feel like your love is cringe. They'll throw it right back at you, bad jokes and all.